And welcome to the Breakfast Broadcast. Today I'm going to be talking about the future of agriculture while eating breakfast, and the stream does not appear to be working, so I'm going to have to fix that. Let's go like that. Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Broadcast. This morning I'm going to be talking about the future of agriculture while eating breakfast with you. And the rest of the world, hopefully. Just give me a moment while I set up my Periscope, as it were. Alright, I believe that Periscope is online. So, this morning for breakfast, I have a banana chocolate chunk muffin, and they are quite tasty. They are from the farmer's market. It's a brand, apparently. The farmer's market TM. Banana chocolate chunk. Pretty tasty indeed. And I also have a cup of medium roast coffee this morning. In my tried and true construction mug. I guess you can't see the mug too well. I'm experimenting with this chroma key thing. Last night, I mean I could turn it off, but this little guy in the background he makes me so happy that I can't turn it off. Anyways, the coffee is Ethiopia from Starbucks, it says. So I assume that it was grown in Ethiopia, so thank you Ethiopia for the coffee this morning. It's very tasty. And I'm gonna take a quick bite of my breakfast and then delve right into the topic of the day. So today I'd like to talk about agriculture and a few things I imagine for its future. One second, I'm going to grab a napkin. So I've been interested in horticulture myself for quite some time. I haven't done very much of it, but I was a landscaper at a time, and I've worked on award-winning gardens and whatnot, and I've even worked on the Coca-Cola property mowing their grass. But besides that, green space for a long time in human history, or recent years in human history, has been diminishing. But I believe that we're headed towards a point where we're going to see more green space being created in places where we haven't seen it before. And we've already started to see this. I mean, there's green roofs. I don't know how to spell roofs. Okay, apparently I do. Yeah, there's green roofs popping up in cities all over the world. A great spot for a green roof, just as a simple conversion, would be like the top of pretty much any parking garage. It's the worst place to park in a parking garage is the very top, because it takes forever to get there, and the sun is really hot. But that's a perfect spot for plants to grow. And there's green roofs popping up all over the world. Add to green roofs, green balconies, which is actually a business idea that I thought of starting up in Toronto a while ago. I was thinking of recycling old skids and building planters for garden balconies. You can have garden balconies that are obviously on the balcony itself, but then you can overhang them over the edge so that they can get much more sunlight. And you can also do things like There's, I'm trying to remember what they are. They're like hanging planters. Yeah, you can use hanging planters obviously from ceilings, but even better for hanging planters, I think, is on walls. So you can fill up the walls, you can fill up the sides of the balcony, you can put green roofs on top of buildings, and then down the balconies on the sides. And that's just for the current buildings we have. When we think of buildings in the future, so future buildings, I might have to type in utopian buildings. A lot of future buildings, they have all these curves built into them, and I've seen some designs. I'm trying to remember the name of the architect, but basically the curved designs of buildings in the future will allow for more light to enter the surface of the structure and also enter into the building, because the buildings can be made of glass. So you can have layers upon layers of green space built into current and future plans for buildings. Let's see, utopian buildings. I might have to type in a utopian city. This one looks like a decent example. So you see there's a building there, but on top of it, it's converted into a huge pathway and there's green space on it. And there's glass on the side, which allows for lots of light to come in and grow extra plants. A couple more bites of my muffin. I was watching a couple documentaries last night, and the place where these kind of urban green buildings are going to be the best for is obviously dense city centers. In Singapore, where they import more than 86% of all of their food, it's economical to do this kind of thing and actually grow food with it, because it becomes locally sourced food, and all imported food is expensive, and people really like locally sourced food. It's good for the future, that kind of thing. Toronto's entered some kind of green initiative to up the amount of trees in the city by some huge amount within the next few years. And there's numerous cities that are doing similar things. A couple more bites of my muffin while I think of more things to talk about. How y'all doing today? Having a good day? It's a hot, sunshiny day up here, which is pretty nice. Yesterday was kind of chilly. Wasn't as pleasant as I would have liked it to be. And vertical farming, of course, is the next logical step to expanding green space for agriculture. So we're going to go from having regular old buildings to having buildings covered with green things, which is probably will end up being more aesthetic than anything, and for air. But these vertical farms that are popping up in different places in the world, not all of them have been successful, but the ones that are will keep expanding, and they're innovating on technologies. These ones here are based on an ancient technology, and it uses very little energy. What it does is it rotates the entire spindle, so that it kind of equalizes the sunlight that all of the plants get. So as the plants get closer to the top, they get more sunlight, and then as they come down, they get less. And it just saves on energy bills. They have a glass roof, but they could also add lights in there. So it means that you need only one light source, or one layer of light source for a whole ton of plants. And that's very small scale based on ancient technology. There's also tube walls, so kind of like irrigation tube walls where you just have a whole wall built of big white tubes, and then you can run hydroponics through it, so that it makes it really easy to, I mean most of these are hydroponics, but they're really easy to maintain compared to a regular farm when you think about it, because you can control the weather, you can control whether bugs are entering or exiting the facility, so you don't really need to use pesticides, you don't have to worry about drought, you don't have to worry about huge amounts of crop loss. Some of these companies, they even do it so that they don't grow anything unless they have an order filled already, so they fill orders and then they grow to fill the orders, so that they're never wasting any food, which cuts down the waste significantly. It also allows for you to put farms in places you wouldn't regularly have farms. Like if you built a new vertical farm in the middle of a city, then you could have fresh produce right from the middle of the city, and you could grow produce in that building from different parts of the world, so different climates, because you can modify the climate inside of it. So you can have fresh oranges daily delivered to the bottom floor of your building, to the grocery store, that are grown on the top floor of the building, and you live in the middle of the building. I'd really love fresh oranges. I don't know if I've ever had an orange that fresh. Probably not, but it would be great. I love oranges. They're so tasty, but they grow them in the south, and I'm from the north, so they're expensive for me. It's hard for me to get my hands on them, and when I do, they're very expensive, and they're never really that fresh, and they're normally off season, and all these kind of horrible things. Vertical farming will help with that a lot. A couple more bites of my muffin. I'm not sure how serious the shift in the future will be towards more green materials, but bamboo is an ancient green material that has been looked upon in a lot of negative ways as like a very cheap material. It's flimsy, it doesn't last long, we can't trust it, but we've been working with it for a long time, and we've learned how to protect it from the things that made it weak otherwise, and we can add it to other materials to complement it and make it stronger. So you wouldn't want to build a building just out of bamboo, although you can, but if you add steel and wires and other kinds of things to the building, it makes it much better. And then you seal the wood and you have to maintain it. And these are, right now, the ones that this lady built, they're very expensive. Most of these are very pricey, but they're very, very nice. And the most important thing is that it's completely renewable. So if the building, when the building needs to be replaced, you can grow it really fast from a crop nearby, because bamboo can grow up to about 1 meter per day, which is pretty amazing. A couple more bites of my muffin. Don't want my back to get kinked up today. Give it a good stretch. So yeah, if you want to check out some of these buildings, Google bamboo building. And click on the images. I forget the name of the lady who did these, but she did these somewhere in South America, and she's got like a whole city/village of these kind of things. She's a little bit wonky, but it works. But I like more the idea. Have you ever heard of a lucky bamboo? Lucky bamboo is like basically little bamboo plants, but the growers, they train the plant to grow in different ways. Let me see if I can get rid of my face for a minute here so we can blow these up. Alright, so yeah, lucky bamboo, you can see they can grow it. They train it to grow in different ways. This one's pretty basic. It obviously just, they slant it. This one's a little bit more complex, but I like it. And they can grow bamboo to pretty much any shape they want it to be. And that was shown in that lady's construction, because a lot of the bamboo was curved, or is curved, and they can also curve it with steam and stuff like that. So you can kind of twist and turn and even grow bamboo into all kinds of shapes, which I want to see someday, and I'm going to work on this myself. I'm going to grow bamboo and I'm going to try to make buildings out of it. Obviously small buildings at first, maybe a cat house or a dog house, but eventually I would like to figure out how to trade and grow bamboo straight into structures. And obviously I'll need to do a ton of research on this, and I imagine it will be a lifetime worth of experimentation, but I think in the end it'll be worth it, because we could end up being able to grow a house out from a few seeds if we know how to do it properly. And hopefully it would be easy. Hopefully there wouldn't be too much training involved, but who knows? So what I'm talking about, I think, is called something like bioarchitecture. And bioarchitecture is more like designing buildings to be organic in shape. But when you combine bioarchitecture with organic, raw, renewable materials, and then you can even build plants on top of them with things like green roofs and hanging balconies and vertical gardens. I think we're heading towards a future where we're going to have the option to have a house that has zero footprint on this earth and actually benefits the earth and starts healing the planet. I'd love to live in a house that made the planet a better place. And I do believe that children that grow up in houses like these are going to view the world in a completely different way. Alright, well, I'm almost done my muffin. Thank you for joining me this morning on the Breakfast Broadcast and sharing this talk of the future of agriculture with me. You can catch me live Monday to Friday, well, most Monday to Fridays from around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope. Have a good day, everyone. Mwah.